Good afternoon. Welcome to All About Animals. I'm Sherry Graditor, and this afternoon we're at Harps, Hoofed Animal Rescue and Protection in Barrington Hills, with Donna Ewing, who is the president, and a very pretty mare whose name is...
You name her. What would you like? Freckles.
Okay,
Look at the freckles on her
for
face.
adoption.
Yes.
And the farrier, Mark, what was your last name? Betcher, who's trying to get her feet together, because unfortunately, when these horses come in, they've not been cared for properly. Donna, tell me what it takes.
Okay. Whoa. A lot of patience, a lot of love, a lot of money.
When you get a horse in, what do you have to do? I mean, one that's in relatively...
Okay, this horse, Sherry, was almost dead. Somebody who saw her at a killer sale bought her. They thought, oh, she's so nice, and they bought her very cheaply. They bought 5 or 6 of them, and then proceeded to let them starve because they didn't know how to take care of them. And they were impounded, and we've had them now about 4 or 5 months. And she's about a 5-year-old. She's a very lovely paint mare. Is she a paint or a pinto? Well, how do you tell the difference, Mark? There's a difference between a paint and a pinto. I've never gotten it straight. But she's was unhandled, and Mark is an expert shoer, and he does special kind of shoeing, so they don't need to put shoes on.
Without shoes.
Without shoes.
She's a barefoot. You're a barefoot shoer.
You're right.
Applied equine podiatrist, technically.
Yeah, equine podiatrist. And this is only the second time he's handled her feet, and she's being a little cantankerous. Somebody who wants a beautiful animal. She's ready to go into training, and she's got the best years of her life ahead of her. She's about 5.
She's perfect.
And we're desperately looking for a home. We have so many. We have over 35 horses here. We were just on an impoundment, believe it or not, in Wisconsin with 85 horses and 75 little mules and burros and stuff. And I don't know where they're going to go. They had to stay in Wisconsin because we don't have any jurisdiction there, but we helped with it. And so there's just thousands of horses looking for good homes.
We talked about the economy and what the economy is doing with horses. Mm-hmm. And I remember you're saying to me there are so many horses that are...
Wait a minute. Now here we're going to have a little trouble. We may have to cut...
Well, let me see if I can quiet her a little bit.
Yeah, try under her... Sherry, you're a good horse whisperer. Underneath her jaw, she seems to enjoy that. And this is the kind of animals we get, and we spend a fortune. Oh, honey. Ho, ho, ho.
You're okay. You're okay, sweet girl. You're okay. You're okay, sweet girl. So these are the horses that you get that basically are not...
They haven't been handled properly. She probably was... I have a feeling she was roughhoused with. Some tough guy got a hold of her, and now we have to try to retrain her. And that takes much longer to retrain than if you can get one that has not been damaged.
We can talk about the difference between training a horse and breaking a horse.
This one they tried to break, and she apparently didn't want to get broken.
I don't blame her. Neither would I.
You know, I'm just looking at those teeth. She looks younger than 5, doesn't she? She's 4 or 5. She's just a baby yet. Yes, you're just a little girl.
And then there's another one we were going to
look at that, Mark. She's still got her little tiny keepers.
Yeah, she hasn't lost them yet.
So she's probably 4 or 5 years old. So her whole life is ahead of her if we get him into the right hands. And we're so particular. Here, girl. We're very careful about who adopts them. And right now, with the economy the way it is, and with our slaughterhouses being closed, which is probably where she was headed to Mexico, because the slaughterhouses all in the United States are closed, and that breaks my heart because...
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute, because people think they did a good thing by closing the slaughterhouse.
They're all learning now that they did the most cruel thing they could have done to horses.
Because here
I tried to tell them that and plead with them, don't do it until you have a solution here, until you put up euthanasia centers here. So people who just can't afford them aren't going to just let these lovely animals die, starve and die, because it costs $350 to have the body taken away when you put them down at home. And the alternative is they can't afford it, so they take them to the sale barns, and then they go to Canada or to Mexico where they are brutally killed.
And they spend hours crushed in trucks with no air conditioning or heat
Right.
or air or room to move.
So she's one of literally hundreds and hundreds we're trying to find homes for, and it's at this, with the economy, we're having a very tough time. Right now we have about, well, we've got 20 here just on our
There's
farm.
another one here we were talking about that's up for adoption. Let's
Right.
over. Mark.
Now this one I was able to get when she was 7 months old. Believe it or not, she's a magnificent Palomino, but right now she's a mud puppy.
Well,
She was all clean this morning, and she went and rolled in the mud because the flies are nipping on them. Can you back up, little girl? Will you back up? Okay. Back, back, back. Oh, and we don't have the cleanest stall in the world because we just put them in and then we clean tonight and bed them down. Oh, you want to come out there? Huh? Well, he's going to bring her out a little later and work on her.
Okay.
If you want to see her.
So this is another horse.
This one's up for adoption. She's just a 2-year-old.
So she's an infant.
She's a baby, and we were able to imprint on her early on. And I can pick up her feet, I can run my hands under her, and she's just a wonderful horse.
Lovely little girl.
She's going to make a wonderful child's horse. I don't think she's going to get to be as big as that one, and so she could be a nice
Donna, let's
child's horse.
talk about the adoption procedure a little bit. So that people know if they're interested, what they need to do. Obviously, if they contact you, you will give them information, but we can do that here.
Sure. Well, first of all, we'd like to try to match the ability of the people.
You're fine.
We try to match the ability of the people with the horse's training level. We don't want to have someone, for instance, if someone said, oh, that's such a beautiful horse, I want it for my 6-year-old child. We would never allow them to do it because they would get hurt. Because this one still needs a top professional trainer to work with it for probably, within 6 months, she might be magnificent. But I wouldn't do that. This one is still too young, and in the hands, they always say, green on green makes black and blue. So you don't put a green horse with a green person, a green rider. And that's the difficulty. These horses still need training, and everybody wants a well-broke, gentle, 16-hand hunt horse, that's a $10,000 horse. And I say, those aren't the horses we usually get. We get these that, need training, need a lot of money put into them, and a lot of time and a lot of work. So they can come to us, and if there are people who want to train them, and there are some, then we check out their home. We prefer to have them have horses already on their own property so we can go examine their property, see how they take care of what they have. And I watch how they are around the horses, and I see whether they have the right temperament. So then, if they qualify, if they want to make any kind of a donation, we already have over $1,500 in her. We've had her for 1.5 years, and just, letting her grow up and teaching her. She's had a saddle on, but that's just on and off. But she'll be ready to be trained, within 2 years she should be a lovely horse.
Yes.
So, if we can find the right home, the money is not the object. We want the home. And we appreciate if they could make some kind of a contribution. Some people give us $100, $200, $300, depending on what they can do. And whether they can continue to keep them. That's the other thing. We're not going to go from the frying pan to the fire. Because people who don't know what they're getting into don't realize the expense. For instance, this alone, $40 every 6 to 8 weeks, just to keep their hooves taken care of.
Their teeth need to be cared for.
And their teeth once a year have to be taken care of. Now we have to give them all their spring shots. We spend about $150 just on worming and shots every spring, and then they have to be wormed regularly and their feet done.
How many horses